DJ Valentino here with Schmizz from the Rex. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing phenomenal. I'm doing great. How are you passing the time in quarantine?
Um, Surfing where the beach is open, which is not very many beaches that are open, but playing guitar, cooking. Been making a lot of food lately. But I mean, that's really it. And watching TV.
Yeah. At least you're surfing a bit, you're not getting too cabin fever and that's like you're not trapped inside. You get to see the ocean a bit, get out there.
Yeah, for real.
So now, again, you're from Jersey. When was the first, you said you listened to WSU before. Do you remember the first time you heard WSOU or?
Man, I can't remember honestly, but probably when I was I don't know. Probably my high school years when I started driving, honestly. 'Cause I didn't really listen to the radio as much when I was super young. I was just always listening to records and everything. But probably like when I started driving, like junior year.
Awesome,
So
awesome. Good stuff. Again, well, we're so happy to have you, and we're so excited to talk, especially with the awesome news right around the corner. Your new album, Infinitely Ordinary, coming out May 1st. How are you feeling?
I am feeling beyond excited. I mean, this is it's been a long time coming with this. We've been through so much stuff the past couple of years between like changing record labels and everything. Like we've recorded the record probably around we've recorded more than like probably 3 records worth of songs. It's just the process of like putting it out, and like the fact that there's finally a date is absolutely, it's like just a huge, not even a weight off my chest. It's just like finally I'm so happy. I'm so thankful for it.
Now, you guys had that thing again with Panic Vertigo, where you wrote an entire EP and then had to scrap it and then do an entire new EP. So you did it again for this album?
Um, Not that we have. I mean, well, the Panic Vertigo EP was a lot different because we worked with like a different producer, and we did the same songs. We redid the same songs for the Panic Vertigo EP. The album, it's just been a process of like figuring out what songs we want to put on the record, because like we probably have like upwards of like 25, 30 tracks recorded that are almost, you're not quite album ready, but they're like we were recording them like as if we were putting them on the record. And then like as time goes by and we're not putting the record out, we start writing more songs.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden there's a new song in the works, like, oh, this song's great, this one has to be on the record. Oh no, wait, this one has to be on the record. So like it's kind of been a bunch of that, but it's not hasn't been we didn't have to like record the record and then like redo it completely. I mean, maybe some songs there, it's all, every song's a different process how we got it to the point that it's going to be sounding like on the.
Definitely. Now, that sounds like a super tedious process to kind of like determine which ones make the cut and don't when you have such a plethora of songs. What is the main indicator for you when you're listening to a song by the Rex and you're like, all right, is this going to be on the album or not?
um I think it just feels natural when we write a new song. I mean, honestly, time tells too. Like when you're sitting on a song for a while, but then when you write, I mean, it's kind of complicated when you write a brand new song and you're really pumped about it, but like maybe you're too stoked about it. But I mean, I think for the most part, when we write a song, it's kind of like, that's a great song. Like like it's usually pretty obvious, and it's also a discussion. I mean, I think we all, as different members of the band, have our own opinions. So I mean, there's a lot of that, like going back and forth. Like I think these ones, and then eventually it just comes to like, all right, it's these ones that we all can agree with somehow.
Definitely, definitely. And now there's one song, I was reading through the track list. I'm super pumped for the album. And there's one song title that got me really interested. Maybe you could give me a little insight into how this one was written, what the theme of it is, all that stuff. We All Get Lonely. That's such a unique title.
That actually Nick wrote that one with this girl. There's a feature on that song. Her name is
Ooh.
Tomi, spelled Tomi. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't even there for that. I like recorded all the guitars and everything on it later, but Nick wrote that song, and I couldn't tell you what was going through his mind when he writes the lyrics. Because I mean, when we write, it's usually I'm more the music side, and like the story comes from him. So I think it's always a different personal story from Nick. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to tell you the exact meaning, honestly.
No worries, no worries. So now, how did you determine kind of like this sonic like sound you're gonna go for? Like I feel like every EP and song you guys release has its own personality in a way. How did you determine on this new record what that was gonna be?
Well, I think when we first started the band, our songs, the writing process really changed a lot. Nick was doing a lot of it. He still does a lot of it, but then I came in. My influence became a lot heavier in the future, and me and Nick would be doing sessions, and like we're feeling like we're writing these like safe pop songs, and like I come from more of like a edgy, weird rock side. Nick is like naturally pretty pop oriented, and I remember one time we were just like as we were changing the way that we wrote, I said to Nick, we were in New York, I was like, man, I was like, let's just go in there and like trust our instincts to write like to write a pop song and to like trust like that like we'll come up with a proper structure and everything, but let's just go for completely left field ideas and just do weird shit. And that's kind of how this new sound, I guess, came to be. It's just
Definitely.
mentality.
Now, another thing is that, like, super cool. The album cover is really unique with the guy, like, on the clouds and his head's a little tilted. Like, did you guys, like, determine, like, once the record was finished, this is kind of how we want the album cover to be? Or did they give it to you and it was just an instant, oh, this is perfect for the album?
It's actually funny. We worked with an artist. His name's Mishko, Mishko, I believe that's how he spells it on Instagram at least. But we were working with him and we were going back and forth with a bunch of different ideas for the album artwork, and because he makes absolutely cool stuff. Or like I don't know if we have a single Out of Style that's going to be on the record. He did that as well. But either way, we're trying to get this album artwork done, and it just wasn't clicking. And then we're like scrolling through all of his art, and like we find this picture, which he changed the color of for us. But we find this picture, and we're like, dude, can we just buy this off you? Like, we just want this art. This is gorgeous. And like to me, it means something. Like it meant something to me as soon as I saw it. I feel like the vibe of the clouds and like the upside down. I mean, every member of the band could probably speak differently, but I would say it means like just kind of. I mean, the clouds in the sky give me like a very infinite vibe, but also it's just kind of like your life's turned upside down, I guess. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like infinitely normal, ordinary. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I love it. I love it.
I got some.
Now, how did that like title kind of come to be Infinitely Ordinary? You know, like that's such a cool play on words. Like, where was your inspiration behind that?
Actually, Nick wrote that song, and that was like one of the last songs that we put on the record. And like Nick, like he was just grooving in the living room. I remember I was sitting there, and he just came up with that term, and the song ended up being great. And we're just like, we didn't even know if that song was gonna be on the record at first, but like as soon as he wrote that, it was just like, that's the name of the album. We
That's
just knew.
it.
We just knew. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So now, the second you guys finished that Panic Vertigo cycle, did you know the plan was always going to be another album, or did you set out to write another EP and then you just found out you had so many songs?
To be honest, there was a point we were like already transitioning like super heavy. Like I don't know if you know our song "Freaking Out." Like
Yeah.
that song was written a while ago, and like we were transitioning into this new vibe, and the plan was to put out that EP, and we worked so hard on it and everything. And then we were so excited about this new vibe that there was actually a moment in time where we were about to just not put out that EP and just like go
Yeah.
straight to the new stuff. But like we figured we'd do it. It's a good stepping stone. It went well. The fans love it. Everyone loves it. So it's cool. But yeah, I can't remember how that question started, to be honest. I'm just ranting.
No worries, no worries. And something that I found fascinating, I actually saw you guys live on that tour with All Time Low, and you guys sounded so like awesome and tight. But then, like when I checked you guys out, like all that stuff, you only had 3 songs with during that tour. How did you fill up an entire opening act set with like only real 3 songs released, and like you still got traction from that? That's unbelievable.
it's it honestly is jaw dropping, man. Like we and like not only that, like just putting that set together, we played a lot of unreleased songs obviously during the set, and like we had those 3 songs, and we were playing songs like from the Panic Vertigo EP and stuff like before we put it out. And like I don't even know how we got to that point with 3 songs. It happened so quick. I think it was all because our first single, Favorite Liar, and we did that, and then we also did our first headline tour with still only 3 songs out. And like I don't know, dude, it's I don't know, it's a beautiful thing, but I couldn't explain how the hell that happened.
So
So
now,
definitely.
how did you get like the fans, like even the hardcore fans that know all the lyrics, like there's still songs that you're playing that they haven't heard before. How'd you get them really like into the show, despite like them like this is the first time they're hearing that song?
I feel like the way we like to do our live shows, I mean, naturally, when I play, I like to just go berserk. Like, I think we bring the energy, and Nick live, he's
Mhm.
always interacting with the crowd. And, like, I think that our energy and our excitement is, like, shared with them. Like, we don't like to put on a boring show. Like, I can't go on there. I can't stand, not necessarily boring. I'm just saying, I just can't go on stage and, like, stand there and, like, play. I have to, like, be running around, like, like having a good time. And I feel like we connected in that way with their fans just because it felt very intimate. And yeah, and they stuck around, so it's cool.
And I definitely think that like the music lends itself to that. Like you don't really have like that chill kind of like just stand there kind of music. When you listen to the Rex, you really you want to get into it. It's got that like that energy behind it.
Yeah, I think that's what we kind of live for, that to be able to rage to it.
Yeah. So now, as I mentioned before, you toured with All Time Low. You've toured with New Politics, The Main, Dashboard Confessional, Paramore. You've done all these shows with these bands. Is there a tour for you that was like the most surreal moment? That was just kind of like almost an I made it moment?
um, oh man, I mean, the I made it moment. I feel like honestly, I went from like 0 to 60 with this band, like from playing local shows in Asbury Park with my old band to like moving out to LA and starting this band. And like, there's a band on our management called Nothing But Thieves, and they actually brought us on our first tour. And like, I feel like, not to say like an I made it moment. I don't think like I'll ever say I made it. Like I'm done. Like I don't think I'll ever be done. But I like this first tour, and like we were in Chicago, and Billy, our drummer, who's also from Jersey, we were playing this place called Talia Hall, and it was like I think it was like 800 or 900 cap, and I just like remembered like looking at the crowd, and I was like backstage still, and I just went backstage and I just like hugged Billy and I started crying, and I was like, dude, like what are we doing?
Mm.
And like I think it really clicked in my head like, wow, life's about to get wild. And then All Time Low was the biggest tour we've ever done. So like that's cool. I mean, like it's every show, every night, every big show where the crowd is reacting feels like that. But I feel
Mm.
like that moment that I just explained probably stood out the most to me.
Definitely, definitely. So now, again, you've done all these shows, and now you're finally putting out your debut EP. What are you most excited for, and what are you most anxious for with this whole release process?
I'm excited to have a record out finally. It's something that we can call a record. I'm excited to like be to like transition from into this new sound, and like I guess that also comes with a bit of anxiety of like hoping that everyone loves it. But so far it's doing well with the singles we put out. So like, I hope the record does good. So there's like that excitement yet anxiety at the same time. Like you can think either way. I feel like I try to believe in the best thing that could happen. You know what I mean? But
Mm.
at the same time, I guess there's always that anxiety that it can go either way. But no matter what, we'll keep on keeping on. So
Definitely, definitely. Do you have like a dream tour that you would love to like open for? Like, is there any band that you like either like grew up listening to? It could be like real or like like not true, like like Nirvana or Queen or stuff. You know what I mean? Like whether it's together now or not.
to be honest, man, I think collectively, I mean, there's a lot of bands I'd love to tour with, but like, I mean, personally, I'm a huge Chili Peppers fan, but I think collectively
Mm.
as a band, I think that we would love more than anything to tour with. I think a tour with us, Weezer, and Cage the Elephant would be a dream for us. And we're all like big into them, and I think we connect with
Yeah.
like our vibe connects with Weezer, at least especially like in the past. A lot of people said that we seem like Weezer, and I feel like we connect with Cage too in a way. And like Cage the Elephant is definitely one of my favorite bands to ever exist.
Yeah, definitely. And like again, like that indie rock sound I think would go really well. All those bands have that like alternative indie sound to them, but also that rock element behind them. So I think that'd be super cool.
They both got that drive. Like Cage the Elephant, I don't know if you've ever seen Cage the Elephant live, but Matt Schultz, their singer, is just running around like a maniac, and I feel like I've always aspired to be that way. And even in my first band growing up, we used to do a lot of Cage covers. I'd play like a song called "In One Ear," and I would just be on the ground, like rolling around with my guitar and stuff. And I think I got that influence to like express myself through music from Cage the Elephant, honestly.
Yeah.
So
Was Cage the Elephant like the first band you got into, or were they just the ones that like really got you into the music?
no, actually, the first band that got me into music was or like the reason I started playing guitar was actually because of Motley Crue. When I was 5 years
I
old, like
love.
my dad was listening to Motley Crue, and I was just like, "What does that sound? It's so cool. I want to do that." And like, I ended up doing it. But yeah, it's funny. It's Motley Crue from the '80s, but I still love that band to death. But I think my taste has changed a lot as far as like what is at the front of my mind musically. You know what I mean? But that's what started it for me.
Do you have like a favorite album of all time, or?
No, I don't think I have a favorite record of all time. I feel like everyone could say, "Oh, there's way too many albums," but I mean, like, you could probably ask me. You could ask me if I had a favorite record by a certain band. But,
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
like even
I I definitely get that. I like my favorite album changes like week by week, so it's too much.
right, right, right.
All right, so being from again WSOU, we're located in Jersey. I have to ask you, what is your favorite thing about New Jersey as a whole? Like we gotta we
Ooh.
gotta honor the Jersey.
Like
What do you think?
my one favorite thing about Jersey.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much to love, but I gotta be honest, man. After living in LA for so long, the food here is so good. Uh,
Oh yeah.
Italian, you can't get Italian. You can't get a good slice. You can't get the pork roll. Like I get pork roll, egg and cheese for breakfast like every day, man. I mean, like
Mhm.
I would normally, or just cooking it up myself. You know what I mean? Like having pork roll. I used to actually get it shipped out to California because I love it that much. And then the Italian food and everything, and the bread, the bagels. I don't know if you ever had a bagel not in Jersey, but
Yeah.
it sucks.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people think like, the New York bagels are so good, the New York bagels are so good, but I would dare to say that the Jersey bagels are just as good as the New York bagels, and all the times I've had them.
Hell yeah, they're not. It's all the same thing, man. Like we're
Yeah.
you know we're all in the same area. The Jersey
Yeah.
slice, even like a Jersey slice of pizza is just as good as a New York slice. I feel like people just call it a New York slice, but like it's the same thing, same water. They say it's the water. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yep. Well, again, definitely thank you so much again for talking to me today. We really appreciate it. Infinitely Ordinary comes out May 1st, which is in just like 1 week. So it's really coming up fast. You're definitely going to want to check it out.
Hell yeah, dude. It's been a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Thank you so much for talking with us today. We really appreciate it.